Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into a topic that affects pretty much anyone building a website, designing an app, or running an e-commerce store. We're talking about why WebP is absolutely the superior format for transparent web graphics. And more importantly, how you can securely convert your files right inside your browser without uploading a single byte to the cloud.
So let's get right into it. You spend hours, right, making sure your sites look absolutely stunning. But what if those crisp, transparent graphics are secretly sabotaging all that hard work? Heavy image files are notorious for tanking your site's largest contentful paint, or LCP, which is a massive factor in modern SEO rankings. If your site feels sluggish, those graphics are usually the prime suspects.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover the transparent image problem, why WebP beats PNG, the privacy and quality dilemma, the browser-based solution, how the Canvas API actually works, and finally, some best practices for conversion.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the transparent image problem.
We are talking, of course, about the trusty PNG, or portable network graphics. You know it, you love it. Since the late 90s, this has been the absolute gold standard for anything needing transparency. And they're great, honestly, because they support a full 8-bit alpha channel. That basically means every single pixel can have its own transparency value, from totally solid to completely invisible, so your logos sit perfectly on any background. But there's a catch. This pristine quality relies on an older, lossless compression method called deflate. And here is the fatal flaw. All that uncompressed, pristine data, it makes for massive file sizes. In today's web, where literally every millisecond matters, a heavy PNG will absolutely wreck your page load speed. It tanks your core web vitals, specifically that largest contentful paint metric we just mentioned. Honestly, if you run a page with heavy PNGs through Google's Page Speed Insights, Lighthouse will actively flag them. You'll get warnings, and it will directly hurt your SEO ranking. You're basically being penalized for using an outdated format.
Which brings us to Section 2, why WebP beats PNG. Let's just look at a direct feature-by-feature comparison. WebP, which, fun fact, was designed by Google, does absolutely everything PNG does, including that super important 8-bit alpha channel. But take a look at the compression row. While PNG is stuck in the past with lossless only, WebP uses a vastly superior algorithm. It handles flat colors, sharp edges, and text so much more efficiently. Plus, instead of getting flagged by Lighthouse, WebP is a format Google actively recommends for SEO.
So the big takeaway here is the math. We're talking 25 to 50%. Converting your transparent graphics to WebP slashes their file weight by a massive 25 to 50%. Just imagine what that does for your e-commerce storefronts, your offline caches, or your app bundles. You get an instant speed boost, and you don't lose any of that visual sharpness or transparency. But hold on, let's look at Section 3 before you jump in. The privacy and quality dilemma. We really have to talk about a massive privacy risk with how we usually do this. When you use most of those free online converters, you're forced to upload your sensitive design files to some random unknown third-party server. I mean, think about it. If you're handling confidential brand assets, unreleased corporate logos, or proprietary UI graphics for a client, handing those files over to the cloud is a huge security vulnerability. And honestly, beyond just the security risks, a lot of these traditional cloud tools are just technically flawed. Because you're relying on a remote server, you often get stuck waiting in slow processing queues. And even worse, a lot of these automated backend tools just don't handle alpha channels right. You upload this gorgeous, transparent logo, and the server spits back a WebP with an ugly white or black square slapped right behind it. It completely destroys your pixel-perfect transparency.
This leads right into Section 4, the browser-based solution.
So here is a really cool twist. Think about this quote. All conversion happens in your browser using JavaScript. Your images are never uploaded to any server. It's kind of ironic, actually. The very tool you're using to browse the web right now, whether that's Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari 14+, already has a native WebP encoder built right into it. You don't need to install clunky desktop software like Photoshop, and you definitely do not need to upload your stuff to the cloud. Let's break down why local processing is such a game changer for security. First off, zero network transfer. Your PNGs are read straight from your device's memory. No server storage whatsoever, because the whole process is handled entirely by local JavaScript. It also gives you total session isolation. The second you close that browser tab, boom, the data is completely cleared from memory. And because the browser is handling it natively, the transparency decodes accurately without any of that annoying background flattening.
Your assets stay securely on your device the whole time. Okay, let's peek under the hood in Section 5, how Canvas API works. So how does this technical magic actually work? Well, the conversion engine is powered completely by the browser's native JavaScript Canvas API. Developers found a way to tap into the browser's own rendering engine, meaning absolutely zero external software is required to make the jump from PNG to WebP. Let's deconstruct exactly how this works in 6 quick steps. First, the file API reads your PNG locally and turns it into a data URL. Second, the browser's native image decoder loads it up, keeping that alpha channel perfectly intact. Step 3 is where the real magic happens. The image is drawn onto an HTML5 canvas element that's left totally transparent, no background fill at all, so those alpha values are preserved pixel for pixel. Fourth, it runs a command called canvas.toblob, which taps straight into the native WebP encoder. Fifth, this generates a secure binary blob that turns into a downloadable link. And finally, if you're doing a batch, JavaScript can instantly zip those files up for a single download. It's incredibly elegant and completely self-contained. Moving on to our final section, Section 6, Best Practices for Conversion. Now here's a really crucial distinction you need to keep in mind. The browser's native WebP export is technically a lossy process. True lossless WebP actually needs heavy command line tools. Because of this, you really need to tweak your settings based on the image type. For things like logos, icons, and UI elements with sharp edges and crisp text, crank that quality slider up to 90 or 100%. You'll get near lossless results without artifacts. But for e-commerce product cutouts or photos with transparent backgrounds, drop that quality down to 75 or 85%. You'll maximize file size reduction without any noticeable visual loss on that complex photo data. To make sure you nail this, here's a quick practical application checklist. First, always verify your PNG actually has true alpha transparency. Look for that checkerboard pattern in your preview, because some files just have solid backgrounds pretending to be transparent. Second, for maximum compatibility, serve your new WebP with a PNG fallback using the HTML picture element. Third, definitely keep your original lossless PNGs backed up in your archives. Always test your converted output on both light and dark backgrounds just to be sure. And finally, since this uses your device's local memory, if you're converting on a mobile phone, keep your batches small, around 10 to 20 images at a time. This entire process completely reshapes how we handle asset optimization, right? We literally no longer have to sacrifice security for speed. So, I'll leave you with this final thought for your own workflow. If your browser can optimize images privately and instantly, why are you still uploading your brand's most sensitive assets to the cloud? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Get out there, try this browser-based workflow, and watch those page speeds absolutely soar.